My YouTube feed is a constant flow of real estate advice. And most real estate advice online is bad, but this one was actually pretty good. However, it stopped right before the part that actually wins houses. Very few home buyers would ever realize it, but some of the things going on here are a red flag, and once I show you, you won't be able to unsee it. So here I'm going to go over the good and tell you how it could have been great so that you can know how your realtor should be handling your home buyer journey. I'm Michael Hausum, an active real estate broker in Southern California. I've had my license for about 25 years. I'm also the founder of House Advantage Academy, where I help realtors become better realtors. In this Fix My Realtor channel, though, this exists to help you get better results from your agent, or it helps you hire the right agent before mistakes get expensive. So this is part of an ongoing breakdown where I analyze popular real estate advice so you can tell whether your agent actually knows what they're doing. So this is from an agent in New Jersey with 113,000 subscribers. And this video has got over 30,000 views to watch her instructions.
And I'm going to tell you how to make an offer that a seller cannot refuse. In this video, I'm going to answer the burning question: how much do I offer on a house? I get this question a lot, so I figured out, let me make a video about it. So I'm going to give you strategies on what you should offer on a house, whether you're in a buyer's market or in a seller's market.
And she's giving advice on how much to offer on a home, and then a bunch of advice beyond that. And for the most part, it's very good. But what it's missing is some positioning. So most buyers assume that their agent knows how to do all this stuff, right? But statistically, most agents barely transact. They're kind of part-timers. 60% of realtors across the country sell one house every other month or less, which means there's a high chance the realtor you've hired or the one you're thinking about hired actually doesn't do this very often. Now, that's not the case with this agent. They definitely know what they're doing. However, it could be better, and I'm going to show you exactly how.
So as I said, we're going to share with you the strategies that you're going to use when making an offer in the buyer's market and the seller's market. And yes, I'm going to give you like a range, a percentage of how much you should go under or go over. Before I get into that, first thing I want to talk about are the key factors you need to be looking at in determining what you're going to be offering.
Before I get to the things that would have made her video great, let me tell you about the things that she did that were very good. So she establishes some ground rules before generating an offer. Number one, carefully check out the comps to understand the local market price. Number two, evaluate and observe the number of days that the house has been on the market to kind of see how the current buyer pool is responding to it. Number three, understand the condition of the property. Does it need money invested after closing? Does it need some fixing up? Number four, address your personal budget to make sure that you understand exactly how much you as a buyer can afford and how much you want to spend. And then number five, to determine the seller's motivations. Now, the reality is sometimes it's kind of hard to get what the seller's motivations are. A pro listing agent absolutely would never disclose this kind of information, but she's right here. If you can find out where the seller's coming from, it's actually a great thing. And then after that, she clarifies specific tactics for a buyer's market.
In buyer's markets, it's typically advised to offer 5 to 10% below the list price.
Now, I don't like canned percentage numbers because it's too rough. An asking price in any particular house, it might not be connected to the current marketplace, and one size fits all percentages, I just think they're rough and clumsy. But I do love that she encourages a buyer to have their ceiling number in their head.
And there's going to be some countering back and forth, but you need to have that final number in your head of what you're willing to spend on the house.
I think that's so smart. In my coaching and in my business, I actually take it a step further. Not only do I help my buyers think through what their top ceiling number is going to be, I also ask them to not tell me what that number is unless I directly ask it. So here's the way I think about that. My job is to get them the house at their number, not whatever the highest number is. And I don't want to be tempted by knowing in my head what they would actually pay for it. So what it does is it clarifies my focus on the offer itself, that number. I'm not thinking about the next step or negotiation. So here's a tip for you as well. Thinking about your own kind of top end ceiling number. This is something that I've done with my clients for years. And frankly, I kind of learned it the hard way. I had clients who had walked away from a counter offer because it was too high, it was above their number. And then we found out later that the house sold for $7,500 above that. They called me and they're like, hey, we would have paid that. Well, what that told me is that the bottom line number that they gave me, it actually wasn't their bottom line number. So this is how I tell folks to kind of test their number with a thought experiment. If you were to find out later that the house that you had reached your limit on had sold for $2,000 higher, would you be okay with that? Or would it bother you? And that's the way you can really determine what your true ceiling number is. So another idea she gives on an offer in a buyer's market is to make sure there's a little wiggle room between the asking price and the offer price. I think that's solid advice. She does make a few other solid recommendations about repairs and concessions, but actually these are just kind of a function of the price itself. A seller would literally give you any credit you wanted as long as there's enough money built in to give them the net proceeds that work for them. And then later on in the video, she transitions to seller market strategies. And frankly, that's solid advice. The agent should see if are there any current offers on the table. She discusses inspection contingencies. All in all, this is definitely better than average advice. But there's more. And this is where good advice stops and great advice starts. Her framework is kind of a, here's what you should offer. The framework that should be there is, how do we get the seller to choose us? It's kind of a positioning difference. It's strategies and tactics that I basically never see. But these are the things that your agent should be doing with you. And also, if you do the things I'm going to recommend here in a second, if you're trying to buy a house in New Jersey, competing against her and her clients, you're going to know what she's going to do. And then you're going to have some things that are elevated just beyond them, and you're going to get the house. So there's 4 things that I'm going to recommend, and the third one is my favorite. The first strategy, above and beyond what she said, is to remove the loan contingency. Now, in the video, she mentions how the contingency for a loan can screw up a deal at a last moment, but she doesn't offer a solution.
Sellers don't want to deal with waiting for you to get your final approval on your mortgage. The mortgage contingency can screw things up because something could happen in the 11th hour and all of a sudden the person can't get financing, and then the seller has to put their house back on the market.
Here's the thing. If you've done your homework and you've gotten a fully underwritten conditional loan approval, and you understand that everything the lender is going to need, you actually don't need the mortgage contingency. So that's not taking on risk. It's just doing the homework ahead of time before you write the offer. Now, she obviously presumes that if you're going to get a loan, then you're going to use the contingency to your benefit. However, if you're prepared, you can take the risk concern that the sellers have right off the table. Look, we're waiving the loan contingency because we don't need it. That is a very powerful statement to be able to make. Another strategy that I use that she doesn't mention has to do with the earnest money deposit. Here in my market in Southern California, the standard is 2 to 3%. So I always have my clients increase the deposit to match the down payment. The bigger the down payment, the bigger the deposit, the bigger the better. I've actually had all cash offers where we committed to put 100% of the funds in escrow within 2 days. Nobody does that, but that's exactly why I do it. I just closed escrow yesterday. January 6th, my guys were putting 25% as their down payment, and our offer had 25% as the earnest money deposit. So unique in my marketplace for that to happen. The listing agent a month ago actually called me and said, "Did you make a mistake?" I explained what I was doing, and then he said it was actually a very compelling thing to his seller. There were 10 different offers on this house, and I know that this strategy was super helpful for my guys. Put yourself in a seller's shoes. If there are two identical offers, except for one of them has a gigantic deposit, which one of those is going to be more compelling? It shows a greater credibility, and it is a great statement to make. Now, it doesn't mean you should do it blindly. You and your agent need to have a perfect understanding of the rules in your area. When does the deposit become non-refundable? When does it go hard? What is the process to get your money back? When does it go at risk? You need to understand those. But your agent should be truthfully able to say that no client of theirs has ever lost $1 of deposit using this strategy. Now, the third thing I'm going to recommend that's not included in her list is my very favorite, and that is to present your offer in person. So in-person offers are super old school, not often done, but it can be a total game changer. I could literally fill up this video with hours of discussion and stories about clients of mine who actually significantly benefited because we showed up to present an offer in person rather than just email it. It's actually one of the ways that I've been able to get my clients homes even when their offers weren't the very highest. My guess is that in whatever market you live in, it's probably not going to be easy for you to find an agent that has experience with this and definitely that actively uses it, but it's an incredible one to use. So I would suggest that you seek out an agent that can do an offer in person for you. There's a bunch of reasons why they're absolutely great. Emailing an offer and doing it in a PDF isn't as good as in person. It's an on-the-spot decision, and that can massively turn things in your favor. Most importantly, the price. So the fourth and final strategy piece that's missing here is what I call buyer staging. It's a critical component of the 6 strategies that I use for all of my clients, and I also teach it at my academy. It's so important it actually deserves its own video, and I'm going to link to that next for you. So my advice for you is this. If your agent cannot explain to you how they do these additional things, that tells you something. If you would like more help with your current agent or how to find and hire the right one, I host a live Fix My Realtor workshop every single month. 1 live hour, real topics, real questions, and no sales pitch. Check out more at fixmyrealtor.com or in the description below. The next video up here is the one I mentioned about buyer staging. You definitely want to check that one out.